The Temanite answered and said, can a man be profitable unto God, or as he that is wise be profitable unto himself? Is it any pleasure to the Almighty that thou art righteous, or is it gain to him that thou makest the ways perfect? Will he prove thee for fear of thee? Will he enter with thee into judgment? Is not thy wickedness great, and thine iniquities infinite? For thou hast taken a pledge from thy brother for naught, and stripped naked of their clothing. Thou hast not given water to the weary to drink, and thou hast withholden bread from the hungry. But as for the mighty man, he had the earth, and the honorable man dwelt in it. Thou hast sent widows away empty, and the arms of the fatherless have been broken. Therefore snares are round about thee, and sudden fear troubleth thee, or darkness that thou canst not see, and abundance of waters covereth thee. Is not God in the height of heaven, and behold the height of the stars, how high they are? And thou sayest, how doth God know? Can he judge through the dark cloud? Thick clouds are covering to him that he seeth not, and he walketh in the circuit of heaven. Hast thou marked the old way which wicked men have trodden, which were cut down out of time, whose foundation is overflown with the flood, which said unto God, depart from us, that what can the Almighty do for them? Yet he filled their houses with good things, but the counsel of the wicked is far from me. Verse 19, the righteous see it and are glad, and the innocent laugh them to scorn. Whereas our substance is not cut down, but the remnant of them, the fire shall come unto thee. Receive, I pray thee, the law from his mouth, and lay up his words in thine heart. If thou return to the Almighty, thou shalt build up, and shalt put away iniquity far from thy tabernacles. Then shalt thou lay up gold as dust, and the gold of Ophir, and the stones of the brooks. Yea, the Almighty shall be thy defense, and thou shalt have plenty of silver. For then thou shalt have thy delight in the Almighty, and shalt lift up thy face unto God. Thou make thy prayer unto him, and he shall hear thee. And thou shalt pay the vows, and thou shalt also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. And the light shall shine upon thy ways. When men are cast down, then shalt thou say, there is lifting up, and he shall save the humble person. He shall deliver the island of the innocent. Is delivered out of the pureness of thine hands. The book of Job, chapter 23, verse 1. Then Job answered and said, even this day is my complaint bitter. My stroke is heavier than my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, and that I might come even to his seat. I would order my cause before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know the words which he would answer me, and understand that he would say unto me, will he plead against me with his great power? No, but he would put strength in me. There the righteous might dispute with him. So shall I be delivered forever from my judge. Behold, I go forward, he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. On the left hand where he doth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, that I cannot see him. But he knoweth the way that I take, and when he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. My foot hath held his steps, his way have I kept and not declined. Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. But he is in one mind, who can turn him? And what is his soul desireth, even that he do it? For he performeth the thing that is appointed unto me, and many such things are with him. Therefore my trouble at his presence when I consider. I'm afraid of him, for God maketh my heart soft, and the Almighty troubleth me, because I was not cut off before the darkness, neither hath he covered the darkness from my face. Book of Job, chapter 24, verse 1. Why seeing times are hidden from the Almighty? Do they not know him, nor see his days? Some remove the landmarks. They violently take away flocks and feed thereof. They drive away the ass from the fatherless. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth hide themselves together. Behold, as wild asses in the desert go they forth to their work, rising betimes for a prey. The wilderness yieldeth food for them and for their children. They reap every one his corn in his field. They gather the vintage of the wicked. They cause the naked to lodge without clothing, that they have no covering in the cold. They are wet with showers of the mountains, embrace the rock for want of shelter. They pluck the fatherless from the breast and take a pledge of the poor. They cause them to go naked without clothing, and they take away the sheaf of the hungry. Verse 11. Which make oil within their walls and tread their wine presses and suffer thirst. Men groan out of the city, and the soul of the wounded crieth out. Yet God layeth not folly to them. They are those that rebel against the light. They know not the ways thereof, nor abide the paths thereof. The murderer rising with the light killeth the poor and the needy, and in the night is as a thief. The eye also of the adulterer waited for the twilight, saying, no eye shall see me, and disguiseth his face. In the dark they dig through houses for themselves. In the daytime they know not the light. For the morning is to them even as the shadow of death. If one know them, they are in the terrors of the shadow of death. He is as swift as the waters. Their portion is cursed in the earth. But he beholdeth not the way of the vineyards. Drought and heat consumeth the snow water. So doth the grave those which have sinned. The womb shall forget him. The worm shall feed sweetly on him, and he shall be no more remembered. And wickedness shall be broken as a tree. He evil entreateth the barren that beareth not, and doth not good to the widow. He draweth also the mighty with his power. He riseth up, and no man is sure of life. will be given him to be in safety, wherefore he resteth, yet his eyes are upon their ways. They're exalted for a little while, but are gone down, brought low. They're taken out of the way as all other, and cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. And if it be so now, who will make me a liar, and make my speech worth nothing? Job chapter 25, verse 1. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite, and said, dominion and fear with him. He maketh peace in his high places. Is there any number of his armies, and upon whom doth not his light arise? How then can man be justified with God, or how can he be clean that is born of a woman? Behold, even to the moon it shineth not, yea, the stars are not pure in his sight. How much less man that is worm in the sons of man, which is worm? Job chapter 26, verse 1. But Job answers and said, how hast thou helped him that is without power, and how savest thou the arm that hath no strength? These folk are arguing. Hast thou counseled him that hath no wisdom, and hast thou plentifully declared this thing as it is? To whom hast thou uttered words, and whose spirit came from thee? Dead things are formed from under the waters, and the inhabitants thereof. Hell is naked before him, and destruction hath no covering. He stretches out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. He bindeth the waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not rent under them. He holdeth back the face of his throne, and spreadeth his cloud upon it. He hath compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. The pillars of heaven tremble and are astonished at his reproof. He divideth the sea with his power, and by his understanding he smiteth through the proud. By his spirit he hath garnished the heavens. His hand hath formed the crooked serpent. Lo, these are the parts of his way, but how little a portion is heard of him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand? Job chapter 27, verse 1. Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, as God liveth, who hath taken away my judgment, and the Almighty, who hath vexed my soul, all the while my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils. My lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. God forbid that I should justify you till I die. I will not remove my integrity from me. My righteousness I will hold fast. I will not let it go, and my heart shall not reproach me as long as I live. Let mine enemy be as the wicked, and he that riseth up against me is unrighteous. For what is the hope of the hypocrite, though he hath gained when God taketh away his soul? Will he hear God? Will God hear his cry when trouble cometh upon him? Will he delight himself in the Almighty? Will he always call upon God? I will teach you by the hand of God, which is the Almighty. Will I not conceal? Behold, all yourselves have seen it. And why then are you thus altogether vain? Thus is the portion of a wicked man with God, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword. His offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widow shall not weep. Though he heap up silver as the dust, and prepare raiment as the day, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. He buildeth his house as a moth, and as a booth that the keeper maketh. The rich man shall lie down, but he shall not be gathered. He opened his eyes, and he is not. Terrors take hold on him as waters. A tempest stealeth him away in the night. The east wind carrieth him away, and he departeth as the storm hurleth him out of the place. For God shall cast upon him, and shall not spare, and he would fain flee out of his hand. Men shall clap their hands at him, and shall hiss him out of his place. The book of Job, chapter 28, verse 1. Surely there is a vein for the silver, and a place for the gold where they find it. Iron is taken out of the earth, and brass is molten out of the stone. He setteth an end to the darkness, and searcheth out all perfection, the stones of darkness, and the shadow of death. The flood breaketh out of the inhabitants, even the waters forgotten of the foot. They are dried up, they're gone away from men. As for the earth, out of it cometh bread, and under it turned up as it were fire. The stones of it are the place of sapphires, and it hath dust of gold. There's path which no fowl knoweth, which the vulture's eye hath not seen. The lion's whelp have not trodden it, nor the fierce lion passed by it. He putteth forth his hand upon the rock. He overturneth the mountains by the roots. He cutteth out the rivers among the rocks, and his eye seeth every precious thing. He bindeth the floods with overflowing, and the thing which is hid bringeth he forth to light. But where shall wisdom be found, and where is the place of understanding? Man knoweth not the price thereof, neither is it found in the land of the living. The depth saith, it's not me. The sea saith, it's not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or the sapphire. The gold and the crystal cannot equal it, and the exchange of it shall not be for the jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall be valued with pure gold. Whence then cometh wisdom, and where is the place of understanding? See, is hid from the eyes of the living and kept close from the fowl of the air. Destruction and death say, we have not heard the fame thereof with our ears. God understandeth the way thereof, and he knoweth the place thereof. For he looketh upon the ends of the earth, and seeth under the whole heaven, to make the weight for the winds, and he weigheth the waters by measure. When he made a decree for the rain, and a way for the lightning and the thunder, then he did see it, and declare it, and he prepared it, yea, and searched it out. And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom. To depart from evil is understanding. The book of Job, chapter 29, verse 1. Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, oh, that I were in the month when God preserved me, when his candle shined upon my head, when by his light I walked through darkness, as I was in the days of the youth, when the secret of God was upon my tabernacle, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were about me, when I washed my steps with butter, and the rock poured me out rivers of oil, when I went out to the gate of the city, when I prepared my seat in the street. The young men saw me and hid themselves, and the aged arose and stood up. The princes refrained from talking and laid their hand on their mouth. The nobles held their peace, and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me. When the eyes saw me, it gave wit to the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help him. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness and clothed me. My judgment was as a robe, and a diadem. I was eyes to the blind, and feet was I to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and the cause which I knew not searched out. And I brake the jaws of the wicked, and plucked the spoil out of his teeth. Then I said, I shall die in my nest, and I shall multiply my days as the sand. My work was spread out by the waters, and the dew lay all night upon my enemy, and my bow was renewed in my hand. Unto me men gave ear and waited, and kept silence at my counsel. After my words they spake not again, and my speech dropped upon them. And they waited for me as for the rain, and they opened their mouth wide as for the latter rain. And if I laughed on them, they believed it not. And the light of my countenance they cast not down. I chose out of their way, and sat chief, and dwelt as a king in the army, and as one that comforteth the mourners.